So a huge thank you to our sponsors. Our sponsor 8x8, we have Orrin Wentworth and Scott Weiss. So actually, Orrin, if you want to say hello.
Hey guys.
And Scott.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Fantastic. So you'll be hearing more from them. And we have the corporate data and voice crew in attendance. I'm Joe Spampanato. I'll let everybody go across. So, Kelly, if you want to start us off. You're
muted, Kelly.
Mute again.
I thought everybody liked me better muted anyway. I'm Kelly with Corporate Data and Voice. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning.
Excellent. Christy.
I'm Christy with Corporate Data and Voice. Thanks for joining us.
All right, Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel with Corporate Data, and nice to see everyone.
And we have Manny here.
Hi, Manny Spampanato, Corporate Data and Voice. Hello.
And Pete.
Hi guys, Pete Lankarge, Client Specialist down in Rhode Island, focused on Rhode Island, Southeastern Mass, and Connecticut. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Excellent, thank you. So our agenda that you've seen in various emails, I'm sure, but we're going to keep this to the 1 hour. So we're going to do a little welcome here, a little overview of CDVS. Then 8x8 will do their presentation and as well as a demonstration. We're going to do Q&As. I say the agenda does state Q&As at the end, but please feel free to chat your questions throughout the presentation. We like this to be as interactive as possible, and we will have some Q&A at the end, and then of course our raffles, and then we'll let you get on to lunchtime after that. So a few things about housekeeping I already mentioned. If we could. Actually, Christy's going to mute all attendees to begin with. Presenters must unmute themselves to be heard. We are recording this session, so we will be emailing out the link to the folks that have registered and attended, that you can send out to folks that maybe you feel would be be beneficial to receive this information that you're seeing today. Each attendee that is present at the end will receive a Grubhub Uber Eats gift card for lunch. Names will be drawn at the end for two $50 Amazon gift cards. Again, must be present to win, and you can only win once. Please ask questions. So for each qualifying question, you'll receive an additional chance to win a raffle prize at the end. So again, ask the questions. We want this as interactive as possible. This is your time with our sponsor 8x8. A little bit about corporate data and voice solutions for the folks that don't know us. Our formula is pretty straightforward. We've been in business since 2003, so closing in. Can't believe it's already been 17 years, but our focus has always been on the customer and what's important to them, not what is important to us. So it's been a winning formula for us, and we continue to use that. Again, pretty straightforward formula for success. We do use a consultative approach to help our customers improve communications, and that's internally and externally. So we do we work hard at vetting out our products that we offer. 8x8 has been a great addition for a number of years now. That's why we're very happy and excited to have them as part of our Tech Talks today. We do act as an extension of the team, of your team, our customers' team. We're not just here to sell. We do have a lot of history and a lot of background in communications, specifically in the voice over IP world. The founders of Corporate Data and Voice Solutions started out actually selling and supporting voice over IP products back in the late 90s. So if you can imagine what that experience was like, we learned a lot back then. We learned a lot what not to do. We did learn how to be successful doing it. So, we continue the story here. We'll assist with project planning and implementation if you do choose to do business with us. We're an ongoing additional resource. We get questions all the time, not specifically about communication. Sometimes it's about, hey, we're moving to Office 365, or we've moved to Office 365 through another vendor, but we're seeing this challenge, or our internet connection doesn't seem to be up to par. What are our options? So we are a resource to our customers to bounce questions off, whether we offer it or not. We're here as a resource. We use a high touch approach. Of course, right now, no touching, right? We want to be, cognizant of the situation and socially distancing that we should be taking. We have extremely high customer retention rate. We are passionate about what we do, and most importantly, we're honest, and we have a high integrity and accountability. We want to be your partner, not just your vendor. Can't say that enough. So again, that goes in, around and wrapped around that whole part about being an ongoing resource, and just being here for our customers. We saw that throughout the initial stages of this pandemic, where customers having to put people and work people from home that had never done that, right? The first 3 weeks really was triage for our entire team, helping organizations, moving them to work from home environments. So we want to be a partner, not just your vendor. So again, thank you for attending today. We know everybody's busy. I have other things to do, but hopefully you'll find this informative. Before I forget to say it, stay safe, stay positive. We're all in this together. So that's it for me for now. I'll be back to do the raffles at the end. I'm going to turn this over to our folks over at 8x8, and I believe, Oren, you're going to start us off.
That's it. Yep.
All right.
I'm ready to rock. So, hi guys, my name's Oren Wentworth. I'm with 8x8. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and share this. Go into presenter mode. There we go. Everybody see working from home, the new normal?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, cool. Excellent. So, Joe, thanks for the setup there. I mean, you guys do a great job with this stuff, and so you guys always bring paint us in the right light, and I feel that in a very indirect world, that the telecommunications space and unified communications space, for those of you that don't know, is a very indirect business, right? Very similar to that we don't do a whole lot of direct to customer sales. So CVDS is by far one of the best, and we really appreciate working with them, and absolutely feel comfortable trusting these guys with any business. So that being said, I'm going to kind of take everybody through a little bit of a kind of journey of who we are, right? And the webinar is titled "Working from Home: The New Normal," right? Massachusetts, we love the term, the new normal. But we're going to try to keep this a little light, and there'll be a background on 8x8, and I'm going to let Scott Weiss, who is my channel sales engineer here, kind of walk you guys through some of the main tools, right? And I think in this world that we're living in now, I mean, obviously, 8x8 kind of, I don't know, tripped into it's not the right word. We were kind of always built for this stuff. I mean, it was always this, more of a software based. There was kind of this need where, if you look at infrastructure in IT as a whole, the phone systems are kind of like the last one to go, right? It was kind of like, okay, well, we're moving servers, we're moving laptops, we're moving, all kinds of different infrastructure off site. And then there was sort of this kind of gold rush to move phones off site, right? And why can't I have sort of the same, why can't I have the same experience on any device that I bring to the table, i.e. a cell phone, a soft phone, a hard phone, whatever I want. And I think now with the whole kind of COVID thing, it's really kind of been like, okay, the initiatives that were, top of mind prior to are now, this is sort of the initiative one. So we're kind of seeing it right when everything hit late March, early April-ish, there was sort of this mad influx of people just, okay, we need your services. How do we do it? Right? Going as fast as we possibly can. Then there was a little bit of a slowdown as the dust settled, and now things are starting to ramp up to back to business again. And I think that on our all hands calls and things like that internally, we're always talking about in the fall, there's going to be another rush, right? Because as soon as people start to kind of, if they go back to the office, are going to start to understand that, we need a contingency plan. We need to be able to flip the switch. We need to be able to keep business continuity going. Maybe that's a repetitive phrase, but we need to keep things moving in the event that something like this strikes again, right? So enough of that. That's sort of my key in here. But for those of you that don't know, 8x8 is a core sort of unified communications contact center provider, right? So we sort of identify with 4 pillars. And the 4 pillars are going to be your rock solid voice, right? So replicating everything that you're doing on the phone system side of the house. So picking up the phone, having dial tone, voicemail to email, 3-way calling, hold, do not disturb, all those kind of basic features are all baked in. We also have a messaging component. A messaging component is going to be similar to your IM tools. You're going to see this today. Scott's going to demo it for you. Which is all part of our platform, and it's all driven through a single experience. So there's not going to be multiple apps. There's not going to be multiple learning curves. It's basically one tool that looks the same across cell phone, computer, wherever you use it, tablet, whatever it may be. So again, there's not that multiple app experience. So the third application is going to be the contact center. And the contact center is very much it is exactly that, right? So it's going to be your omni-channel experience. So people that need chat, people that need email, people that need voice, we can service all those different type of applications. And then the fourth pillar is going to be the analytics platform. So when we take the analytics, we're going to wrap the analytics around all these different tools, right? And when you own all those applications, and then the one I forgot was video, you're really going to be able to make decisions on the fly, right? So you can kind of understand consumption methods, you can understand what people are doing, you can understand calling and so forth. And that's really how we always talk about one platform, one communications, open and so forth. We use a lot of those words. They're all kind of encompassing around this 8x8 owns all the technology and every single way that the business communicates, which also kind of, plays into the customer experience. So that being said, that's my marketing part. 20 years in business, EGHT is the symbol. We did about 500 or so million in revenue last year. We're on track to do, I think we forecasted 680 to the street for this year. So business is good, right? We're still seeing people doing this stuff. We just signed a couple of really large deals in the last couple of weeks. So, we're not going anywhere. Again, we've been in here for a while. We're not a marketing machine. You're not going to kind of see us on Super Bowl ads and things like that, but just understand that we've always been kind of technology first. And that's really kind of what's landed us here today. So like I talked about earlier, we call everything that we kind of refer to internally as the X series. So there's a bunch of our SKUs are really very simple, depending on what application you guys are using or what application you are internal to the company, meaning I'm a knowledge worker, I'm a front of the house guy, I'm a IT person, I'm a sales rep, I'm a traveling, I'm in a manufacturing environment. We have an X series license to form fit for every single aspect of the business. It's really very simple. It's basically X2 through X8, and those are priced accordingly. But here's sort of a diagram of what I was talking about. So 8x8 sort of, we can mix and match and we can form fit the full organization. It's not necessarily, okay, we need an X4 for everybody at $40 a seat because this guy needs chat, right? So understand that it's not a one size fits all approach. And the corporate data and voice team is going to walk you guys through this stuff. They're going to say, okay, here's what we need. Here's where we see an X4. Here's where we see an X8, and then kind of prescribe what they see as the right fit. And that's really where this extra layer comes in very helpful. But from a security perspective, just understand that it's all there, right? I think in this rush to work from home, if you will, security is one of those things that people kind of, it's not always top of mind because it can't be, right? It's a rush. It gets overlooked. Just understand that from a HIPAA compliancy, FIPS, FISMA, Safe Harbor, PCI, GDPR is the big one over in the UK. these are really going to be, they're all going to be there, right? It's security should be a peace of mind that you take from us at all times, and we can share BAAs and things like that with you. But just understand that, a hack of Target or Equifax or something along those lines, I mean, that would put us out of business. So we spend a lot of money here, and we very much take into consideration the integrity of everything that we're doing on our customer level. So just understand that the security is a very important component. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, we're about 1,600 employees at this point. What I really wanted to highlight here in this slide is we're global, right? This is not a domestic organization. San Jose, California is the headquarters. We have an office in New York. We have an office in Minnesota. We have an office in the UK, in Singapore, Australia, and I'm forgetting one, Romania. That's where our development office is. But so we have local resources to fit every need, right? And we're very much experienced in the global space. So if you guys have customers that working global, we obviously, as you can imagine, we have a bunch of call centers in India, things like that, offices in Japan, offices in China. We can service those customers just like we would service them here domestically. Now, things like India and China and so forth, where the rules are a little bit more restrictive, there's some caveats and things like that, but just keep in mind that this is a very global application. We have things like unlimited calling globally, unlimited calling into different countries and stuff like that. So if you have that one employee, that office in different areas around the world, that 8x8 can service those customers just as if they were in your local office. We take the location completely out of play. And if anybody has any questions too, I know we want to answer through the chat, but feel free to just blurt them out as well. I've done this 1,000 times, so sometimes I get a little carried away. But so today we're using virtual meeting. Virtual meeting is a big part of our solution. And it's funny, if you looked back, if you think back maybe 6 months ago, we had virtual meeting. We had this tool that we're using now. It's always been there. We've certainly put some enhancements to it, and our AWS bills are going up accordingly. But it's crazy how much all of a sudden we've leaned on it, right? So as a world as a whole, with this whole thing going on, people have really just started to leverage video more so than they ever have before, right? And it was a very, very solid acquisition. We acquired a company called Jitsi from a company called Atlassian. So Atlassian is probably the biggest software development house in the world, and they build products in those subsets. And Jitsi was one of them. We acquired them about a year or two ago and made everything our own. So the video product is really very baked. We have some customers that are just using the video. We have some customers that are just using the phones. We have some customers that are just using the contact center. But I'd say the majority of our customers are using sort of a mishmash of both, right? And that's really kind of where we want this whole thing to go. We want people using the tools. We don't want to nickel and dime people for extra features and things like that. We really want to make it an all-encompassing approach. So that being said, Virtual Office Desktop Client, I'm just going to kind of give you a quick view so you can kind of do some word association. And Scott's going to show you guys this in a minute. But this is our sort of base app, right? So you're going to have this downloaded on your computer. It's also available via the browser, PC, Mac, Android, iPhone. The experience is the same. Again, the learning curve is the same. All the features and functionality are the same as well, too. So again, it becomes a very easy application to use. Messaging,
Sure.
yeah.
We do have a question from Keith. Why is it called 8x8? I think this is a really good question.
Oh my gosh! If anybody knows the answer to that question, I will double down on the gift cards and make it $200.
Oh, wow.
Similar to the match like last weekend. Like I'm Peyton Manning out there.
Does that include me?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Get it.
Absolutely not.
All right.
So the 8x8, really where it came from is it's not 64. It's not. So when the company started about 20 years ago, it started out as a video compression semiconductor company. So we were making chips for big like Tandberg and Life Size and all these, like, if you think back, 10 years ago, you'd walk in those rooms that have $500,000 worth of video conferencing hardware. We were making chips for those systems, and the dimensions of the chip were 8x8. So fun fact, That's where 8x8 came from. And then the evolution of the company is when, they quickly kind of realized that that wasn't where they wanted to focus on. And when Vonage came out as, if everybody remembers this, when they came out and sort of turned the residential home phone on its head and said, well, you can pay, $5 a month versus, paying AT&T, whatever. We basically came out and mimicked that exact model for business. We said we can do this in business instead of consumer. And then obviously since then, that was the trajectory of the company. So fun fact. Another thing that you're going to see in the technology is a messaging tool, right? So this is going to be similar to kind of like your Slack type of functionality. It's baked into the product. We have our own version of it, which you're looking at here, which we call team messaging. You can share files, you can @mention people, you can tag people, you can have multiple people in different rooms, you can make them private, so forth. You can also, if you'd like to, we can also integrate in bigger companies. We see this sometimes if a customer is using Slack or HipChat or Jabber or WebEx or whatever, we have the ability to tie those instant messaging platforms together. So rather than going in there and forcing an organization into our technology for their chat tool, we could easily say, that's cool, keep your Jabber, keep your HipChat, and we can tie those two together, right? So 8x8 becomes that sort of central repository, and you can message across platforms. So again, kind of a cool tool. Once you get into the larger businesses is where it kind of plays more, but just understand that we do have a couple options there. I talked a little bit about this too. I just want to hit on this bottom piece here. So Microsoft Teams integration. You're going to see a big push from 8x8 moving forward on Teams. In our world, what that means is we've seen a lot of customers moving to Teams. We see Teams as sort of a strategic alliance rather than a competitor. There's other competitors out there that are much more in that silo, right? So Teams we see as an opportunity because what Microsoft, if you think about it, and I'm just going to spend a quick minute on this, has not done really well is the voice component, right? You think back to Skype, you think back to all the Skype for Business, all this stuff that they've launched. Really, I mean, the core Achilles heel to all that stuff has been voice, right? So in our world, what we've decided to do is we've created a direct routing component, which basically means we're plumbing our voice platform that you saw earlier, the international component and everything. We're plugging that behind the Teams application, and then we're going to have the Teams application sit on top. So from a user that just logs into Teams like every day they normally would, they're not going to see anything different, but they're going to have that SLA and all that voice quality components and everything that we're doing behind the scenes on their calling platform. So the calling should be rock solid, should be crystal clear. Again, we're going to back all our SLAs and so forth behind the Teams platform, but you're going to keep Teams as the front interface. So I just wanted to kind of hit on that real quick because I think it's a hot button for some people. And by coming soon, it's going to be here next week. June 1st is the official launch. So just keep that in mind. Talked about X series a little bit. In working from home, just checking the time check here. The working from home component is big, right? I mean, if you look at our active users, I mean, this was taken about a month ago. It's everywhere. People are using this platform. As you can see, it's a very sort of robust application. It's going to, it's very much a business-centric tool. When we talk about meetings, is it the ideal tool for your virtual happy hours and things like that? Yeah, sure, it'll work fine for that, but it's really designed for sort of this type of thing that we're doing now, right? Much more B2B than a sort of consumer to consumer model, more like a Zoom and things like that. So just understand that, again, that we've put a lot of security measures and encryption measures and things like that around the meeting client that is the basis for that statement.
Hey, Oren.
Yeah. So
we have a question from Steve K, and I might have to ask him to unmute himself. His question is, what are tubes? So I'm not, do you know what he's referring to?
Yep.
In that last slide.
He's talking about this.
Okay.
Or maybe this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tubes is kind of what I was talking about with the WebEx or Jabber or things like that, right? We call them tubes. So that would be a tube that we would connect into another tool, right? So it's basically the middleware, if you will, that will connect those two platforms. It's just a branding thing. It just means integration between the two.
Okay, I got you. Thanks.
And you would create, like, for example, I would create a tube to Jabber. I would create a tube to WebEx.
Got you.
Good question, though. So we've seen an uptick in the education vertical too. I think we're seeing a lot of this stuff. I mean, I don't think any of this stuff is probably earth-shattering. Everybody's seen it and read about it in the news every day. Pick your application, right? I mean, people are using video any way that you want. Again, virtual happy hours are perfectly acceptable. But we're seeing in this case a lot of students in Italy are using the 8x8 platform to do a lot of their online learning and things like that. So when you're thinking about this stuff and you're talking about moving applications or moving workers online, just think about, we do have a solution for all those different applications. And then as far as training goes, I just highlight this just to make it, there's a lot of resources. We put a ton of effort and R&D into getting the website to a very, I'll use self-service. That carries a little bit of a negative connotation, but we try to put a ton of information on the website that you can, access training, access deployment resources. Obviously, the CVDS team just does a phenomenal job wrapping their expertise around our applications. But just understand that we try to give you as many resources as humanly possible. And obviously we have different deployment options and, in-person trainings and things like that. If that ever becomes a thing again, we do have those options as well too. But then Scott Weiss here, this is his, I think, college fraternity picture, is going to take over for the demo to show you guys a little bit more of the fun stuff. But if there's any other questions, again, put them in the chat, and happy to take them on one by one as needed.
Thanks, Oren. So welcome everybody. I'm really excited about having this opportunity to talk to you guys about the 8x8 product. So Oren went through kind of a description of what I'm going to show you. So now I'm going to actually show you how it works and take you through a little demo of how we actually use it every day. And so it's kind of interesting. I've been involved with communications for a very long time. I actually started off in the IT world and kind of moved into communications. So it's been kind of interesting to see how things have changed over the years. And now that we are basically, in this work from home environment, it's kind of what I've seen us go through over the years, right? I've worked for companies over the past several years that have equipment on site. Multiple sites have that equipment, and you move it around and manage it, to attempting to move that equipment into a data center, what we would call, a private cloud type solution, to what we are looking at today, which is kind of a public cloud, kind of a hybrid between public and private. Really, what does that mean? What do all those words mean? It really boils down to how can we easily work from home or work from anywhere. So, I've been very fortunate to work for 8x8. I started here back in July, and when we first started talking about sheltering in place, I knew that as a company we'd be able to do it. And we took our 1,600 employees, and we, within a week or two, were able to shift from working from the office, which we had just built a brand new office. Our CEO said, I thought it was really important to build this office. I thought it'd be great to bring we had a couple different offices out in California, bring everyone together under one roof, build a nice state-of-the-art office. And now he realizes that we're able to work harder and better from home. We're able to get a lot done. So it's been exciting to work for 8x8, and I'm really excited to kind of talk to you about the product, how you can use it for moving forward. I think Oren kind of made a good statement in the beginning. We saw people kind of panic and say, what do I do? I need to get something. And they immediately jumped onto a product. Then we kind of see a lull. Now I think what people are doing, which is smart, is looking at, okay, what is our long-term plan? We're going to have to make a decision. We're going to change the way we work. We're going to work from home. How do we do that? How do we stay productive? How do we stay in touch? So you don't feel like you're on by yourself in a silo. I've worked from home pretty much my entire career for a bulk of it. I enjoy it. I like it. Sometimes people don't don't want to do it because they feel that they're by themselves. So I think by using this tool, first of all, our video conferencing, being able to do a video chat, we can have up to 50 people in a conference, soon to be 100. I found that I've been able to meet a lot more people through video than I was able to do by going to meet them, right? I mean, I'm in the New York City area. I live in New Jersey. Trying to get someplace, you got an hour drive. You got to get in the car. You got to meet with them. You walk in the door. You check in. You sit down. So you're really, I wouldn't say wasting time because there is, that interaction. But I can jump on a video meeting within minutes and be able to interact with somebody, see them, see how they respond. So you guys are experiencing it right now. You guys are joining probably from your web browser. I'm actually using our virtual office desktop software. So this software is available obviously for your Windows desktop. That's what I have here. It's available for your mobile devices and of course your Mac environment. And so within my virtual office mobile environment, or you joining through your web environment, you're able to join this meeting. And right now I have you guys in tile mode, so I can kind of show you around here. I can jump here and look at Oren, and because Oren is also using the desktop software, or maybe some of the mobile software, but most likely desktop software, I can request remote control. So, if Oren, if I'm involved in support or I'm involved in assisting people, I can immediately say to Oren, hey, you know what? Were you able to set up, the new process for today? Oh no, I'm having trouble. Can you help me? Well, I can even jump on and with his permission, take over his computer. I can private message him if I need to. Before when we started the meeting, we were able to mute people out. We're able to record. So all these features that are available here for us to be able to communicate are great.
Hey, Scott.
Yep.
We have a question from Bill. How do you handle security with a multi-tenancy model?
So we are basically a SaaS model. So we're no different than any other SaaS product or like logmein.com or those others. Our security is very important and it's built from the ground up. So each individual tenant has their own login, has their own passwords. We encrypt everything from the desktop to the source. We abide by the rules as far as if you're looking to keep data sovereignty, we abide by those rules. So that can be a very long and challenging conversation, but we have a lot of it on our website. We can certainly sidebar and talk to you about it. And if it's in particular to some of your requirements, we have a whole security team that we can engage and we can have specifics that your requirements. But I think on the general term, we follow HIPAA guidelines, we follow FISMA guidelines, so a lot of that allow us to continue to do what we do. So it's a good question because people are concerned about, where's the data going, what are you connecting to, how you're logging in. But those are some of the things that we can do. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of an answer. If not, we can certainly take that offline and get a little deeper if it didn't answer your question.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Again, so within the video system here, I'm just going to take a little bit, just kind of point this out. We were able to start a recording here, and this is being recorded. We also have the ability to live stream. So if you want to be able to do presentations to larger audiences, without, like, we're seeing a lot of the conventions and shows you would go to are being transitioned to online. So in a lot of those cases, it's more about, we're going to do the talking, you're going to listen, you're going to chat in, and we'll be able to interact with you. So we can live stream to YouTube. That's part of the platform. There's no additional charge to that, and there's really unlimited number of users that can be live streamed to that platform, right? As you guys are aware, we're able to chat with each other. I was able to share my screen. One of the nice things about this is that anybody can share their screen. So I've actually had some really great sessions with my boss where he's asked each of us in the channel sales engineering group to go ahead and share our screen, and we can show him a new product that we're demoing. Like, he wants to make sure that we understand the new product, we understand how it works, so he'll ask us to all to share our screen, and he can move between screens and look to see what we're doing and be able to assist us. So again, we're able to kind of, instead of having a team meeting physically, we're able to have this meeting throughout the software. So that's pretty nice. And again, Oren and I use this tool all day long. We're talking on it all day long. I do find that, interestingly enough, I'm doing a lot more video meetings now than I did before. I tend to, and a lot of other people say, hey, you know what, let's set up a video meeting for like an hour from now or tomorrow, and that way we know we're available. We jump on the video meeting, we're able to share our desktop, we're able to see each other. But what's really great is with the 8x8 platform, even if I'm making a phone call, so here's where I move into the more of the traditional, phone type services. So if I'm making a phone call, I can actually, while that call is active, I can transition it over to a meeting. And I've done this a few times. So if we start talking and we realize, hey, it might be better if I can share a document with you, or maybe it might be better if we can visually see each other, we can actually move that call right over to a meeting. Again, I have the ability to work wherever I need to work. I'm basically set up using my computer. So I have a wireless headphone. I could have a desk phone. We do have desk phones available. We work with Polycom, Yealink, and Cisco. So if you really want to have that physical phone on your desk, that is still possible. Or I can put any phone in here and be able to work from there. So I can put in home phone, cell phone, whatever it may be, and be able to control and make phone calls, and it will just ring that device. So I can be very flexible where I'm going. By the way, one of the things that I do, which I prefer, is I actually have the desktop app, as you can see here, and then I have an app running on my mobile phone. I run them both at the same time, and when a call comes in, I'm able to answer on either device. Before, actually, what happened was my headset had died on my computer, so I actually went on my mobile, and I was able to make and place phone calls using my Bluetooth headset on my mobile device. Same interface, same interaction. Everything is recorded on both sides. So if I come back to my call history, I'll see that I made a call on my mobile device. It just looks like I made a call here. So lots of flexibility there. Visual voicemail, I love this feature. This is a great feature. So I can see all my voicemail messages here. I like to keep my voicemail. I go back and look at history, but here I can see this was a 1-second call. So this person, actually, one of the things they did is one of our partners. They tried to call me. They realized I wasn't available, and they immediately did an SMS chat to me. So they were able to use the technology and send me a message, and we were able to respond that way. But I can see here that was a quick call. Here's a 12-second call. We do transcription. I can play the call back. So it's really, really easy to use the system and really stay in communications with whoever you need to be communicating with.
Hey, Scott.
Yep.
Can I ask you to folks on some of the folks on this call, because we use it quite often, I think we forget how some of the other platforms, how this compares to other platforms. I think one of the key items that you just mentioned, everything you're doing is all in the same app.
Right.
Is that correct? So you're not
Yes.
changing screens to go to do a meeting versus to make a call versus to look somebody up. Everything is in one app.
Yeah, and Joe, that's a really important piece of information. And it's one of the things that we do talk about a lot here. And what he's kind of driving to is this concept we own it all. So the chat, the video conferencing, we didn't even talk about contact center. We have a contact center piece. All those pieces of the platform are owned by 8x8. And why is that important? First of all, it allows us, as Joe described, to be able to move within one application. You're not jumping between apps. You may today be using one application to make a phone call. You may be using another application to chat. You may be using a third application for your meetings. And you have to move from app to app. If you're in charge of IT, that means you have to manage all those apps. So we're able to really just within one application, the virtual office application, be able to move between, and as I did before, move between our meeting down here over to making a phone call to my contacts here. So here are my contacts. We're able to integrate into Google, and I'm having that same experience. The other thing that's really important about that and some of the things we're doing is we're taking technology. For example, we have our contact center. Like I said, we didn't really have a lot of time to talk about today, but we can certainly do that in another conversation. But one of the things we do in our contact center is we take every single recording and we transcribe it to text. Well, that technology we brought over to our meeting product, so you can actually turn on closed captioning. So we'll be transcribing the meeting as we go. But what will also happen at the end of the meeting, not only will we have a recording, you'll have a transcription. And that's part of this one platform. We're able to really borrow technology from some of the other pieces and move them into our meeting product and make that even better. So yeah, it's a really good point, and we think it's important because you don't want to have to manage multiple platforms, multiple software packages. It's easier to manage one and be able to, and you can pick and choose what you want to deploy and what you want to use as you grow with the system. So good question.
One other item, you mentioned it. I want to make sure it's clear to everyone. You just mentioned SMS texting. So you're talking about SMS texting using my work DID, whether I'm using the desktop app or even the mobile app. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a great point. So this is a really great use of technology. So I actually have a DID assigned to me, a direct inward dial number. This is my number that I give out. When someone calls in, it rings my desk phone, it rings my cell phone. It can reach me in a kind of a one number reach type portfolio. But I also have this chat capabilities, and I think Oren kind of alluded to it, where someone can just chat that phone number and it will show up as just like any one of these other chats that I have here. And I can now have conversations with them. So that allows me not only to communicate using chat or SMS to others, but it also allows me to keep that conversation a business conversation. Now, I can give out my cell phone number. I don't worry about that. But maybe if you're a doctor or a lawyer or teacher, maybe you don't want to give out your cell phone number not because you don't want to help, but you don't want that to be abused. So what's great about this is going to be a message back to your DID, your phone number, and it will appear here with all your other chats, and you'll be able to respond to that person. So that's a great feature. And the other thing that I'm showing here is one of the things that Oren referred to was this tube concept or same room. So in this particular case, I'm actually having a conversation, in this case, with another 8x8 system. But it could be, Slack, for example. Someone's using Slack. You're able to communicate outside your environment to other users. I can upload pictures. I can put a link in here. So this gives me a way to really collaborate. And you can see I have a lot of rooms here. There's a lot going on. So we use this all day long here at 8x8. I don't necessarily jump in all these rooms, but what I will do is I can come back here and search for information. Like if I'm looking for information about Virtual Office Desktop, for example, I can come in here and I could search for the history to be able to see, what happened or when a question was answered. So it's a really great tool to be able to do that. But if you're not part of the organization, you could just SMS in, which is nice.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, good questions. I mean, those are all important things, and I tend to sometimes forget that I use these features and how easy it makes it to work. We can also include faxing in here. So here's the ability to fax in and out, again, bringing another application back into this desktop. And then we have individual call recording, so I can record my calls individually and then be able to play those back or download them and share them with others if I need to. So if Oren and I were having a conversation and we just said, you know what, this would be great if we record this and we can send it to Joe, and then Joe can listen to it. We don't have to kind of go back from the beginning, and then Joe, I, and Oren can comment on it. So really, really nice to be able to do that.
All right, we have a couple more questions, Scott.
Sure.
So from Greg, what if currently all my clients have my cell phone and want to get another number so that I can differentiate when a call comes in on my cell phone, knowing it's a work call?
Yeah, so great question. So what happens is if you run the app on your desktop, when a call comes in as a business call, so if they're calling that DID, it will ring the app. So you know, because the app is ringing, that this is a business call. And if they just call your cell phone, your normal cell phone will pop up as if a call is coming in. So that is a really great way to be able to determine which calls you get. And then you can get pretty fancy in here, and you could turn on Do Not Disturb. You can actually schedule. So if I come in here to my notifications, I can schedule what notifications I want to get. I can also schedule if I'm away, like, away from my desk and things like that. So I can really kind of modify it so that maybe I don't get those calls after business hours. But that's a really great way to be able to determine, is a call a business call or a personal call. You just have to train them to start using your DID. That would be your biggest challenge, which is not that bad to do.
Excellent. Excellent. So we have another question from Sean. Actually, it might be a two-part, so I'll read it. So sorry if I missed it, but do you pay extra for soft phone on the desk and mobile phone? Also, when moving to 8x8, I assume the port process, etc., is same as any telco company. Also, can you do geolocation call routing based on the caller's number?
So great. Yeah, lots of questions in there. So we have licenses, and we classify them as X series, and we start at X1 and we go up to X8. Basically, the X1 license, which is the first license in the series, does include the soft phone for mobile and the soft phone for desktop. So you got it right off the bat. As you go through plans, it's just adding additional features like more calling plans and some supervisor reports. And there's so we can get some more detail with you personally of what might make your needs, fits your needs best. So that's definitely part of it. As far as, so the other question in there was,
Porting.
Yeah.
Yep.
So porting. In the U.S., porting of numbers, and of course we can do porting throughout the world too. Porting is available for the most part. There are some certain areas that will not port, but that's the same for everybody. But we do allow porting. Porting process can be automated depending on the size of your organization. We may include that as part of the installation fees to help manage that. There's not an individual charge for porting, but there, depending on your size, there may be someone that we assign to manage that, which is a good thing because you want to make sure the port goes well. One of the other things that we do is we will give you a temporary number, so we can get the system up and running, configured, tested, kind of in a dual mode where you're able to make calls out through your DID that you're assigned, your temporary DID, to test it out, and then once the port is complete, then you'll be able to use your DID or number that you're moving over. So that's definitely a process that we can take care of for you.
All right, and then last but not least for Sean, and then we have 2 more questions. This is fantastic. Also, can you do geolocation call routing based on the caller's number?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways I can interpret that. I mean, maybe you can unmute and maybe ask exactly what you're looking for.
Sean, if you can unmute. Not sure.
You have an audio. I mean, so I don't know if you're talking physically, like as you move from building to building, or you're talking about, more in a call center type thing where I want to route calls based on follow the sun or something along those lines. So that's why I was kind of looking for maybe a little more detail. If you're having trouble with your audio, maybe you could type it in, or we could follow up with you.
No, his mic doesn't seem to be working. So you know what we'll do? We will follow up with Sean to get more understanding of the question. And Scott, I'll bring you in if we can't handle the question afterwards. Okay.
Or if you want to repost, Sean, go ahead and repost. Maybe I can get the more detail from that.
And then Keith Taylor, I think I know the answer, but please confirm this allows SMS only, not iMessage.
Yeah, so iMessage is Apple, right? So that you have to have an Android. You have to have an iPhone to be able to do iMessage. That's their private platform. So SMS means that it's a text-only message. You can't send video or images or things like that. It's just a text. So basically, if you're running a iPhone and you're using iMessenger, you will receive an SMS. It'll come in. It changes color. I'm not an iPhone user, but I know my family is. It just changes color, comes in differently, but it will work. So you can send an SMS from iMessenger to my DID. That will work fine, and I can respond back to you without problem.
All right. And then Bill has a question. Does it automatically go into Do Not Disturb if my calendar shows I'm booked? So
you can set that, yes. So that is a feature that we have that if you want to. First of all, if you're in a meeting, it will show you're busy. But if you want to go and Do Not Disturb and not receive any more phone calls, that is a setting that you can set up individually and say that's the way I want it. I don't do that because I'm usually doing demos, and then it's hard to do a demo and make a phone call and that sort of thing. But yeah, absolutely, you can do that.
All right. So Scott, we're rounding. We're almost coming up on the hour so quickly.
Yes.
What else do you have for us so we can get to the raffles, I guess?
I mean, I'm kind of to the end of pointing it out. Obviously, there's a lot of things we can do. I mentioned the ability to do contact center and things like that. So I think the good news here, and me personally, I know I work for 8x8, and of course I want to tout 8x8, but as I mentioned, I've worked in many different companies in many different environments. I'm in this all day long, and it helps me do my job. I'm able to communicate very easily. I'm able to bring people into video chats. I'm able to chat. I'm able to work with my teammates. So I really enjoy coming to work every day and being able to use this tool to get my job done. It makes it much easier. So we're really excited to talk to you guys. Hopefully this gave you some, based on the questions, I know it sparked some great questions. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you walk through this, figure this out. Definitely things are changing. I think we're going to see a lot more work from home, which I think is a good thing. Like I said, I've done it for a long time. I get a lot of work done working from home. I'm not sitting in my car in traffic. And so, we're here to help. I know we're running up on time, so I want to give some time for any questions in the raffle, but if there's anything else we can do, just let us know.
All right, fantastic. This has been great. Oren, Scott, thank you so much. I'm going to say thank you to all the attendees that asked the fantastic, engaging questions. So if Peter, if you could just type in the last initial of your last, the first initial of your last name, so we can make sure you get your Grubhub card, so we can send that to you, as well as if you're one of the winners, we want to make sure you get the one of the $50 gift cards that we're going to be handing out. So that will be helpful. All right. Any other last questions? Oh, Kelly, does that help? Peter Morales?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, fantastic. So any last questions for any of us, Oren, Scott, even myself? All right, fantastic. So as I mentioned, we're going to do a live raffle. All the great questions, you only can win once. I did mention that, but let's see who has won the first raffle here. First gift card here. So Sean Donnelly. So congrats, Sean. You are the first of 2 winners. We're all winners, really, but we'll hold on a second. And then Jesse. We have Jesse won the second one. All right, so congrats. Congrats to those 2 people. So that was it for us. Oren, do you have any last comments, questions, statements?
No, I'm good. I thank you guys for putting this together, and thank you everybody for an hour of your time. I hope you found this beneficial. I look forward to connecting further, and again, thank you all for spending some time with us, and good stuff. Stay safe.
Excellent.
Summer weather.
Oren, thank you. Scott, thank you.
You got it.
And everyone, thank you for joining us. And can't say it enough. Please stay safe. It's interesting times we're in, and I think we're all in this together, making the best of it. So, thank you very much. We'll be following up with the information, the link to the recording, your gift cards, and your raffles. So we're rounding 12 o'clock, and we want to be cognizant of your time. So thank you very much.